welcome into another episode of Tiger Territory, part of the Foul Territory Network, a Detroit Tigers podcast. I'm Kieran Steckley. With me, as always, is a man who is a witness to magic. He is Cody Stavenhagen. How you doing?
Kieran, was that the most exciting Tigers game of the year so far?
That felt like the most significant Tigers game that didn't have any actual implications that I can remember in a long time.
Wow.
That's how far I'll go.
Big statement. I think I guess how do you define implications? Because there were some games last, September that I guess did have implications that were amazing. And we've seen some good ones already this year, but I don't think there was one as just outright dramatic as that. You're playing the Red Sox. Alex Bregman is getting booed. Javier Baez, it's a go-ahead homer. It's a great story. And then it all gets ruined. Except you battle back. The gritty Tigers don't quit. They go to 11 innings. Guess who comes up again? 2 runners on. Javier El Mago Baez. And just like we all predicted, he's the most electric player in baseball, like it's 2018 or 2019 or something. Walk-off homer, 2-homer game for Javy. Continues to be an absolutely incredible story. The exit velocities thing still doesn't make any sense, man. It's improbable. It's his greatest magic act yet, but maybe former ball players like Austin Jackson know something, because this dude just keeps finding ways to contribute, keeps coming up in big moments. This has been probably the most nonsensical storyline I can remember covering, and yet it's also been like one of the most fun things I've watched in my time covering baseball.
So a couple things. Today's game is really going to be the focus of what we talked about. We had plans to go into the 14-2 and Jackson Jobe, in respect to that game, which was probably like the best the Tigers have played, in a long, long time. So with respect to that, we'll get to that later in the week. Today just was like gravity. It just sucked everything out. Like I literally had to scrap everything, just be like, all right, we're just going Tuesday basically only, because we originally were going to talk about pitching chaos, and pitching chaos did occur. However, it's
somewhat fashion.
It was just chaos, period, is what this game was, for the reasons that you laid out. AJ Hinch made all the right moves that turned out to be the wrong moves, with the pitching situation, which was kind of funny. And then the moves that he did or didn't make, leaving McKinstry in there against Chapman as essentially a sacrificial lamb in order to get him into I assume this was part of the 3D chess. Is like, you get to the next inning, then he's going to be on second base. You have one of your best runners in there. And it's like, there's like all these little things that we're going to forget, and I don't want to forget them. So I kind of want to get them off the top here so that we don't forget them later in the podcast. Be like, wait. Riley Green, spectacular diving catch in left field today. Jace doing a lot of the little things, still waiting for that big main thing, but doing a lot of the little things that contribute. They don't win this game without Jace Young. That's just a fact.
Yes. First, I want to talk about that real quick. Like, for as much as this is the Javier Baez game, his probably defining game as a Detroit Tiger, it's a defining Tigers game in that they do not win that without Jace Young, who is just going through it at the plate, man. He's just struggling. He's having a hard time. But Jace he's probably going to go down to the minor leagues soon. And yet Jace comes up and he, grinds 7-8 pitches, then gets hit to get a runner on base to set up Javy's first homer. He makes a terrific play running to catch a ball over his shoulder in foul territory. Even in extras, like, he fields a tough ground ball and the Tigers getting out. They didn't turn a double play, but a year ago, does Jace Young make that play at all, or does that ball go into left field and boom, game over? A big hit in extra innings, stayed with his approach, tough at bat, hits a line drive single. Talked to Jace the other day. I liked his perspective. He brought up, Derek Jeter's Michigan commencement speech, talking about failure. Well, Jace is getting a big dose of failure right now, and I don't know if it's going to turn around. I'm a little concerned about him at the plate, getting beat time and time again, but man, you talk about having the right attitude. You talk about believing the whole culture and chemistry thing that I've kind of made fun of over the years. Jace Young tonight, terrific example.
For sure. No doubt about that. And AJ Hinch did a great job post game of pointing out all those things because they are true and they are worth mentioning. Another small storyline: Alex Bregman hit a home run in Comerica, carried the bullpen in left field. It's not impossible. Just saying.
It wasn't the park. He said it time and time again.
Exactly. Spencer Torkelson hit a home run, number 10 on the year, right? Is that correct? Or is it 11?
Was it 11?
11. Yeah, 11. Sorry, excuse me, Torque. 11th home run on
11,
the season.
more than he had all of last year.
Yes. And
what timeline are we living in?
Exactly.
This is crazy.
Exactly. And also, a small little thing. This was the first time, I was going to tweet this out, but I wanted to save it for the podcast. First time in Trey Sweeney's major league career that he batted 6th in the order. Why? I made note of that before the game. And he just so happens to come up with 2 outs in the 10th with the runner on second and deliver the game-tying base knock. It's little things, man. Those little things. You just never know how it's going to play out. Obviously, that's a very random thing, but something I noted beforehand, and it played out there too. So Trey Sweeney.
Credit to Trey Sweeney. We haven't really talked about him a ton. Last time we talked about him, we were like, man, he's struggling. Could he be a dark horse candidate to get sent down? This dude's picked it up. This guy's been hot. It's got a little pop in the bat, validating, the Tigers' decision to trade for him, validating their faith in sticking with him. Right now, it don't look like Trey Sweeney's going down anytime soon, if ever. He's clicking.
You're right. And again, another storyline that we're going to have to get to that we just can't, out of respect to what we just witnessed. But I did have one overarching Javi Baez thought, Cody, that I'm going to get to after a word from our sponsors.
Hey, for the card collectors out there, you need to know about Arena Club. You can check out our showrooms. We've all got cards in there. You can buy, you can sell, you can trade, and you can rip packs. They're called slab packs, Kratz. And then what happens if you don't like what you pulled?
You get an instant offer. But before you get that instant offer, you can show your showroom around, kind of like when I used to put the cards in the sleeves and my buddies would come over and show them. Now, bang, show them on the phone. Instant offers right there if I need it.
Yep, that instant offer is for the estimated fair market value. Accept it on the spot. Acquire the best value for your money with Slab Packs, transparent checklists, and Arena Club's Slab Safe program. Whether you're buying, selling, trading, grading, or ripping packs, Arena Club is the safest, most trusted in the game. Right now, you can get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/foul and use code FOUL. That's arenaclub.com/foul, code FOUL.
All right, coming back here. Yeah, I just had a lot of time to think about what I was going to say about Javier Baez, how far I wanted to go. And I think I landed on one facet, Cody, that I feel very comfortable saying this in mid-May. Javi Baez is the Detroit Tigers MVP. He is their most valuable player. He is not their best player. He is not their most outstanding player, but he is their most valuable player. Now, how you define value, there's a lot of ways to do that. One of them could be his WAR, right? That's kind of a value stat. Well, he leads the team among position players in WAR, and he's a hair behind Tarek Skubal, 1.7 to 1.9 entering today. So there's some value there, I would say. And then if you look at where he ranks among center fielders in the American League, he leads center fielders in the American League in RBI. He is second in hits. He's second in doubles, tied for 5th in home runs. And he would be up there on the averages, but he doesn't quite qualify yet. Chances are he's going to get there. But he is among the best center fielders in baseball defensively. He is worth 2 outs above average right now. And by the way, if he was playing third base, he'd be worth 2 outs above average there as well. So I would think he hasn't had to do it for the hot corner. I would argue with his bat the way it is right now, he's kind of saved 2 positions for the Tigers based on what the roster was coming into the season with the Vierling, Wenzel, and Parker injuries, right? Not to mention he's also saved Riley Green's back, kind of literally, 100% metaphorically, with keeping him out of playing center field, and he's also become like the face of this, like the leading Tigers. Like the grit stuff is good, and that still remains. The 27 out stuff like still remains, but now you're the leading American League team. So he is the guy that they're talking about on TBS. Pedro Martinez, Jimmy Rollins, Dexter Fowler. They're doing pregame segments about what has gone on with Javier Baez, because he has kind of made the Tigers cool. Like, you know, like they're like people around baseball respect they're good, but when Javy is doing Javy things, he's made them cool again for the national audience, if that makes sense.
That's actually a great point.
And so like he's in a way like one of the faces of the team right now, which is obviously what you paid him for when you signed him to that deal, 4 years ago. But that's not what you really got, and certainly not. And he wasn't even a part of the gritty Tigers run into the postseason, right? So, but now the Tigers are one of the best teams in baseball, and Javier Baez is performing like one of the better players in the sport. So he's a team MVP, in my opinion.
No, you're right. I mean, I think he's literally the team MVP. The WAR figures, we're recording this very late at night. They haven't even updated yet. We're going to wake up and he's probably going to be a 2+ WAR player. He's probably going to be leading everyone on the Tigers, including Tarek Skubal. So literally that's how valuable he has been. You're right. Helping them greatly at 2 positions of need. We can talk about third base maybe on another episode. He actually hasn't been that good in games played there, and the Tigers are struggling at third base. Otherwise, oh my gosh, like to your point, Javi Baez is a very popular player. He's a very famous player, beloved in Chicago, part of the curse-breaking Cubs. Puerto Rico, he has everyone in Puerto Rico rooting for him. He played briefly in New York, has some fans there. When I write about Javi Baez, Kieran, those stories get read more than anything else Tigers-centric I do. They get read way more than anything I ever did on Miguel Cabrera. He still has a bigger national brand than Tarek Skubal or anyone else on the Tigers. Like Skubal's maybe just now getting close to that territory. Javi Baez, he's on the cover of MLB The Show. Like, that sounds kind of silly, but if you do that, you're pretty famous. And you're right. In a way, Javi playing well is great marketing and exposure for the Tigers. What was it all last September? Who are these guys? And they were a great story, but I don't know that, my family back home in Texas was getting amped about Bo Brisky and Trey Sweeney. And like, even we've talked about how Riley Green should be more famous than he is, but those just aren't names or even players who have a style that really moves the needle. Javi Baez moves the needle, and people know who Javi Baez is. And so if the Tigers are going to continue to play this well and be the darlings of Major League Baseball, if Javi Baez keeps playing this well, I think that can go a long way in terms of just like branding, getting people to pay attention, and maybe even people outside Detroit, like becoming fans of the Tigers. That's how magnetic he is. And I've always said, like, he's always been one of my favorite players to watch. Well, before the Tigers signed him, he's probably top 3 most electric players in the league. Sometimes we've seen that. We haven't seen as much of it. So far this year, it's like we've gone back in time.
Yeah, and like part of what makes this so fun and interesting and makes you believe in the S word in this case is that he's doing it in a lot of ways. Now we were talking after a game in which he had 2 3-run home runs. We obviously know that like the power is more behind him than in front of him. We all acknowledge that. However, like he does, we're going to acknowledge the power because he had 2 home runs today. So, but like on Monday, he's kind of sawing off hits and just kind of doing enough. The exit velo, like, screw that, type situations. The defense, we all know, speaks for itself. The highlights are amazing. And then today, not to get lost, like, and I should have mentioned earlier about things not to get lost, he scores a run because he makes the heads up baseball play on the back pick attempt at third base and runs inside the baseline, legal, by the way, and causes an errant throw, scores a run. Obviously, the game goes in extras. That seems pretty key as well. So, like, there's not an element to his game that is not contributing to the Tigers being the best team in the American League, one of the best teams in the American League. What are all the numbers that we bring up all the time to basically be like, yes, this team it's not no fluke. It's like all these offensive numbers. Well, look at his offensive numbers. They're not winning 28 games without Javier Baez. They're just not.
Yeah.
And that says nothing about the intangible stuff that you mentioned about, like, how much the players love him, how much it does for the culture. And AJ Hinch brought this up today post game, and I think it's worth mentioning a little bit, is that not every guy of his stature is going to play a new position. And I would say fewer of that category of people are going to play a very difficult position in center field for the first time as professional ball players. I don't know if he did it in the minors, but as major league players. So that sort of like team first unselfishness stuff that is cliche, that gets thrown out a lot, probably more so than it really is worthy of it. Like, this is a case where 100% applies to it. And AJ brought up saying, like, yeah, it's easy to get some 23, 24-year-old who's just trying to be in the major leagues to do what we ask. Yeah. It's a lot harder to do the guy that's got a guaranteed contract that's gonna that check goes out no matter what position he plays and what his enthusiasm is for it. But he's actually doing all these things, and that part can't be understated as well.
Let's look at the opposing dugout, Kieran. Everyone knows what's going on with Rafael Devers. Look, I think Alex Cora is a really good manager. I think I assume the Red Sox have a lot of good things culturally going for them. It seemed like there's a lot of talk about that in spring training, but right now it's kind of a train wreck of drama over there. They're a good team, and maybe their record currently is not as good as it should be. And clearly there's some friction in that clubhouse, or between players and the front office, or players and ownership, or I don't know all the dynamics, but I know they have a player who doesn't want to change positions. Meanwhile, Javier Baez has never played a single inning in center field in the major leagues in his life. And maybe it's a little different because he keeps talking about how he's always like dreamed of doing it. But this is why I tried to hammer home in spring training. Like, I had zero expectations for Javier Baez, but I thought it was compelling and kind of important that he seemed energized in spring, that he seemed willing to do different things, that he was not isolated. In fact, he seemed to be interacting with his teammates, and he has his kids around more, and he just seems like more upbeat than ever before. That is translated into him doing whatever the Tigers have asked, had a lot of fun doing it. I think he's learned some lessons, good and bad, throughout his career, and the ups and the downs. He said, in the clubhouse Tuesday night, like, I've tried to tell these guys, make sure you enjoy it. Sometimes you look back and you think, oh, I should have enjoyed that more. I should have done this differently. I try to remind myself of this job. Like, I get to see some cool things. I don't always enjoy it in the moment because I'm stressed out. I'm worried about work. And so that's like good perspective to hear from Javi Baez, who's probably felt that on a level none of us can even fathom. Yeah, I think that is a credit to AJ Hinch, a credit to the Tigers, and probably more than anything, a credit to Javi Baez just for having that attitude and kind of accepting where he's at in his career.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's another sort of like low-hanging fruit that I think is absolutely worthy that I want to discuss. But first, a word from our sponsors.
Hey, FT fam. HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit, Cam, because we're busy and we would like all of the ingredients to cook up something nice and make us look like elite chefs at home.
You know what I do? I've got kids in basketball, I've got soccer, I've got baseball. And when they get home, there's a fresh meal and they think, "Oh, Dad, he's so great." Well, no, it's not me. It's HelloFresh. It's nutritious. It's packed full of good nutrients. The kids have good energy, and they look at me like I'm the greatest dad in the world. So make sure you go grab that HelloFresh because you know what? It's doing my family all the good.
Cook up dishes like chicken Dijon and pecan crusted trout, over 100 seasonal snacks, sides, and treats as well. Feel great with meals that fit your spring schedule and make the season even more delicious. Go to HelloFresh.com/FT10FM now to get 10 free meals with a free item for life. 1 per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan.
All right, I was trying to see if I could come up with some sort of comp or multi-sport analogy. I've done the Russell Westbrook thing before, and I still think that holds pretty true. But you know what? It also is, Cody. It also is a little bit of a metaphor of the city, the Javier Baez situation. I don't want to hammer this home and make some diatribe about it because again, that's another national thing that can kind of be cliched but true. But this is a guy that was literally counted out. Present company included. And I would say that team, if you look at how they talked about Javy during the offseason, it was kind of we got to figure out how to get the most out of Javy. This is surprising to everybody, but it's a comeback that is still real. And so the embrace that he has been getting, and after tonight will continue to get, is going to be as authentic as hell. And they're not probably going to make a Netflix documentary about it like they did Trey Turner. But at the same time, it's real. It's real. The people will respond to you in this way when you give out as much as he cares and produces like he has and has been the same person throughout, which again is another thing I think he deserves credit for.
Yeah, it's I mean it's amazing. I don't want to dive too deep into the numbers, but I'm sitting here looking at these numbers again. We don't have to list them all off. You guys go look at his StatCast page. It's blue, man. The chase rate has gone up. It's back above 40%. None of this indicates he should continue having success, but here he is, and you kind of mentioned this a while back here, and I don't know. I think one of the things WAR maybe doesn't fully encapsulate. Let's say Javier Baez does terrible from today on, and he's going to finish the season with 0.4 WAR or something. I don't know, man. The Tigers have already won 4 games that they don't win without Javier Baez. That maybe will not fully be reflected in whatever happens from here. It's interesting. This guy was -6 run value against sliders last year. The one thing, Dan Dickerson mentioned this today, he is seeing less sliders. That might be somewhat strategic for when he is playing and pitchers he is playing against, but also he's playing every day now. So I don't know why he's not seeing as many sliders. His swing rate is still slightly the lowest of his career. So he is swinging less often. But there's nothing else in his metrics that really presents a huge change other than the bat speed's actually down. I think that tells you he's cut down on his swing, but he's literally not making contact at a higher rate than last year. It doesn't use, so you can, I don't know. I'm staring at this and I don't know, trying to make sense of it. Still not incredibly optimistic that Javi's going to. I mean, right now he's playing at an all-star pace. He probably get MVP votes. I don't know that that's going to continue, but I guess I'm done even trying to project it now because this is just fun, man. This is just cool. So maybe the Javy lesson. I'm just kind of trying to enjoy it.
Yeah, and there's speaking of lessons, I was trying to think of lessons that we can glean from this, and one of them is. Yeah, sometimes a ball player is a ball player, Like that it might not ring true to the extent that we're seeing, but that might be something that we just have to remember with all these like little things. And maybe there's like a point in a time where it adds up to, 40 plus games into a season, you're at 2 WAR. Maybe it's just one of those things that can happen. We just don't recognize it enough. Number one. Number two, you never really know if a guy is all the way there physically. And maybe for the past couple of years, I always gave him credit for playing every day, and he obviously plays hard. That's just who he is. Like maybe he really was just like,
I think
whatever
there's definitely
percentage,
something to
but
that.
whatever percentage of himself, and now we're getting closer to what he could be as a 30-plus-year-old, middle infielder slash center fielder, and this is this is what we're seeing. This is the result that we're getting.
That's another thing too, Kieran. I think, gosh, it was already 2 off seasons ago, but I kind of did a dive. Like, is there any historical precedent for a player to be this bad and then return and be good? And I don't remember every example I looked up. Basically, the answer was kind of no. Like, if he continues playing this well, it will be unprecedented, or at least anyone else who did that, it was known they were like battling a major injury and it came back from that. So maybe that now does factor into the Javy story a little bit more. If any of you guys out there can think of an example of a player who was literally as bad as Javy was and then bounced back, I'm talking for a multi-year period, let me know. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anyone, and I have researched it a little bit before in the past, and there are a couple examples like Pablo Sandoval, a little bit, but he right now, if Javy were to sustain this level of performance, I'm not sure there's another example you could compare it to.
I too tried to look at some examples, and I'm not even going to say them because they were so bad. I'd be like, oh, what about this person? And then I look it up. I was like, no, the lows weren't nearly as low, and then it was a lot more steady than throughout than what I remember. And so it is pretty unprecedented. It's fine to enjoy it while it lasts. It's fine to recognize that the question was posed post game, should you move him up in the order? And AJ's like, why I do anything. It is also important to note that he could be like kind of the public face of the team and not be the guy that is relied upon like to be the heart of the order. It's okay. It's okay. All those things are okay. And it's okay to
I wouldn't touch him in the batting order.
It's fine.
What's happening now is working, and a change from recent years. You have some really good other hitters in the top of your order.
Well,
like you don't
that's
need
another
him,
thing too, and we don't have to spend a whole lot of time on this here. But like, why are the Tigers the best team in the American League? Maybe it's because the bottom of their order doing pretty dang good.
A lot to do with it.
Pretty dang good.
The hitters at the top there they I think still lead in most pitches seen in first innings of games. I'm not sure. I think bumping Javy up in the order might hurt you a little bit there. Like Glaber, like God, he just like they make guys earn it in the first inning and really from there on out. And if you have a Javy who, although generally speaking, his at bats are a little bit better this year, like he's still not going to go up there and go 6-7 pitches very often. When you have other guys doing that throughout the order, maybe that somehow helps Javier Baez and just be able to be himself at the plate.
Yeah. And so not to mention, like I said, the Sweeney aspect of it, Dingler done well at the plate, obviously. Like the back half of the lineup in this gritty run, you kind of like held your breath a little bit. McKinstry would be a guy that you'd be like, last season, and then now he's batting 3-hole. So like it's just there's a million stories. Javy is the coolest one. It's not really about like the best or whatever, but he's just the coolest one because he's Javy. And Matt Vierling's killing it in Toledo. We'll see what that looks like whenever that move is made. Jake Rogers also killed it today. other Jason Foley, unfortunately, is his season's over with surgery. These are things that we'll expand upon in our next episode, because we just had to allow ourselves late on a Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning to be prisoners of the moment. So anything else, Cody, you wanted to add before we get out of here?
No, I think that's good. I think that's the appropriate discussion for this episode, and we will catch you guys next time. We'll talk about a lot more.
All right. Hope you guys enjoyed that game. I certainly did. One of the more memorable games that I can remember, and one that I won't soon forget. You can follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Cody Stavenhagen. I'm at Kieran_Steckley. Pod page at Tiger Territory _ Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram. You guys know the deal. Like, subscribe, 5-star review if you feel so inclined. We appreciate all of you. So for Cody Stavenhagen, I'm Kieran Steckley. Everybody have a great day.